last chance, no beating around the bush.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Blake Production.
Yo, what is good, squad? So I just finished watching the Chiefs versus the Bengals game there, and that was a wild ending. There's been a pretty good football games on lately, so that's been fun. But what we got here is the S&P and the Nas breakdown. So I'm just going to go over some things I'm looking at, some things that I'm paying attention to, and my bullish and bearish perspectives on each. So again, I like to watch the S&P and the Nas futures because they kind of give me an idea of the stocks that I mostly pay attention to, and they kind of give me an idea of the overall market, right? So that's why I like to pay attention to these. So right off the hop, I want to point out something that I think is interesting. Now, every time we've made some sort of a bottom on these charts, there has been massive volume spikes, okay? So we'll just go back to, all right, let's go back to 2018. There's one at the beginning of 2018 as well. But over here, you see massive volume spikes at the bottom of a range. So this scroll over to 2020. This was the Corona crash. We see massive spikes in volume at the bottom of the range. Now, throughout 2020, we had quite a few dips. And again, right, you see the pattern that's going on here? So every time there's some sort of a local bottom or like a major bottom on this chart, there's been massive spikes in volume, right? Again, we look over here, we had a local bottom, some big spikes. We're looking over what happened in the past week, and it's some of the largest volume we've ever seen on this chart. So now, does that mean that this is the bottom? I mean, we don't want to blindly say yes, it is for sure, because anything could happen in the coming weeks and days, but I like to think that this is a very interesting thing to notice. It's a very interesting technical aspect to notice. Again, the large volume is one thing, but look at the support range that we're at. This is something that I've had marked out for weeks now. I had this marked out because I thought we would come back here and hold it as support, and it looks like that is true. Keep in mind, look at the types of candlesticks that are coming in at the support range, right? You're starting to see wicks from the bottom, big hammer candlesticks that engulf previous days. Look at what we have here. It's very similar. Large wicks coming from the bottom. This is showing us that we're getting some support. This is being bought off of. This 4200 range, 4280 is being bought off of. So that's something we want to see continue, right? If we do come back to this range. So we might get like a really bearish day, but we want to see us recuperate fast and get a nice big candlestick where we buy off of it. So that's something that I think is bullish for us, right? Like, I think this could be a sign that we could be making a leg higher in the coming weeks. So another thing I wanted to point out, our previous time that we came down to this range, look at the trend we made. It was like a high to a lower high, a lower low, another lower high, but then we started to get a higher low, and then we lifted up. So the trend changed, right? It was in a tiny little downtrend, ABC correction, and then we have that ABC push up. So we want to see this happen here, right? We had this kind of little downtrend going on from the highs. We want to see if we can change the trend here and get a higher low coming. So that would be something that aids to our case that we are going to go higher. Again, I want to pay attention to that in the coming weeks. Another thing that I'm kind of looking at is we have this trend line over here that's getting some sort of play. It's getting a little bit of play here. I don't want to give it too much of a credibility, but I'm starting to look at it to see, like, maybe are we going to reject this range? Because technically, from a bearish perspective, we're in a bear flag right now from a bearish perspective. So I'm kind of trying to pay attention to that. How long are we going to play in this range? And is this going to be the pattern that actually brings us a little bit lower? So that's something I want to pay attention to in the coming weeks. Are we actually setting up a bear flag and we're going to get faked out? Again, when we zoom into the 2-hour time frame, that's why I have this trend line going on, because we could come up and it's acting as resistance. We could come back up to this range, and that trend line that I just drew, it could eventually act as some sort of resistance. We don't want to see that from the bullish case. So that's the breakdown on the S&P. Now, when we're looking at the Nas, I really like what I'm seeing on the Nas as well. It's very similar in terms of coming back to a major support area. It was once resistance, once, twice, 3 times, and then we broke up over a little bit and started acting as support there. So because we broke below this trend line, I'll keep it running just in case we end up coming back to it. But I want to see us look at this range, right? Again, you look back. Every time we've come to some sort of bottom, there's been spikes in volume, right? This was our spike here, not too large, but over here, right? Local bottom, look at the spikes in volume around here. So it's something that's like interesting. Again, a very, very large volume. So I want to see in the coming days and weeks, are we going to turn it around, right? Are we going to turn it up? Are we going to see a lot of these tech names that have gotten really beat up start to make that turnaround? I think we will. I think we will, right? Just a quick example. If we look at ARK, this name has gotten bodied. All 2020, we made massive gains, 370%. And then 2021, one full year, we have a 60% pullback. So, right, it's funny because we top here, February 2021. We look like we might be bottoming here in February 2022. So, that goes back to the Nas. I want to see a lot of these tech names, right? PLTRs, AMDs, NVIDIAs, Apples, Microsofts, all these names. We want to see them turn up from here because those are the ones that are going to lead the market. And I think what we have set up here on the Nas could potentially give us that opportunity. So that's it for the week. Peace.